Hello, Plain Local. I'm Bailey Borden, and it's time for Hairspray Highlights. I'm here right now with the cast of Hairspray, and we'll be discussing the progress of the show. So with just 3 weeks away from opening night, what are you most nervous about?
What I am probably the most nervous about is us gaining all this momentum towards the show and then kind of keeping it up and putting it all together at the end and seeing like the whole finished product.
I think I'm most nervous about the singing and dancing together when the whole cast comes together and the end product to see how it will turn out.
I'm most nervous about probably being never in a musical. So this is like the first one, so I hope I don't mess up.
But it's like kind of the same as hers. I've never been in like a musical. I've never had a lead role, so it's kind of, I don't want to mess up. Yeah.
So is there one song that you guys like in particular?
Well, one song that I really like find meaning in is I Know Where I've Been. It's just a really meaningful song. It has such a powerful message behind it, and it's just gets me, like, yeah.
I think that song is like especially really important because it's kind of the turning point for all of our characters where they realize it's not about like the little individual problems they've had throughout the show, that there's like a bigger meaning to what's going on. So I think that's why it's so influential for all of us.
Yeah, that is a really good song. I love that song.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about by the way of like the costuming? Because it's like set during like the kind of 50s and 60s. So what is your favorite costume, I guess?
I'm excited to see my hair, my wig. It might be really big. I'm not really sure. Kind of nervous about it too. Yeah.
I'm excited to see Edna
Yes.
because at the big end, the finale and the dress and everything, so it should be good.
I think it's mostly because I have to do pigtails in a bump. Not sure how that's gonna work out, but we'll see. And I'm excited to see it.
I think I'm like super excited about my costume in particular because it's not something I would usually wear. It's something I'd more so like maybe wear like only in my house, not really, but I mean it's just not something I would typically wear. So like costuming, I feel like it's gonna be a fun thing to put on.
I'm excited for the shoes I have to wear because I'm only 5 foot, and Motormouth has like, she's perceived as like big, and I'm nowhere near that, so I'm excited to see how I can actually portray that.
Yeah. So tell our viewers what like a typical rehearsal looks like for you guys as a lead.
The typical rehearsal actually, it's kind of cool because the rehearsal doesn't really focus on us. It kind of focuses on like the cohesiveness of the cast even behind us and of us as a cast. Like at this point, the directors aren't really like looking at us specifically, but like looking at the stage and really trying to translate what we're doing now. We're in 2017 and trying to like make sure it looks like it's in the 50s and 60s. So I think like the typical rehearsal now is actually just kind of like trimming everything up so it looks like how it should really.
I think probably my favorite part about rehearsals is when we first come into the theater. We're kind of crazy. Mr. Kiefer always says that the biggest challenge and the biggest strength of our cast is that we love each other so much.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's harder for us to get things done because we just want to love each other all the time.
Yeah.
And so when we all come into the theater, we're like talking to each other and hugging each other and hugging each other and hugging each other. And then when we finally start getting things done, we don't have time for that. So I think that a normal rehearsal is basically us just loving each other.
Okay. So what are some of your favorite lines that your character has in the show?
Tracy says a lot of just outlandish things that I don't think that people should say, but she says them. But I think one of her most meaningful lines is towards the end. She's very frustrated, and Motormouth has just been kind of drilling her about her purpose and why she's doing everything. And Motormouth just keeps asking her, did you do all this just to get on the show? Did you do all this just to get the boy? And Tracy finally says, no, I just think it's stupid. We can't all dance on TV together.
I think one of my favorite lines is when Link sees Tracy in It Takes Two, and he runs into Tracy and says, I hope I didn't dent your do. So I think that's one of the funny lines that Link has because it's his first time seeing Tracy. So
At the end, when we're all dancing together for You Can't Stop the Beat, Penny's more like, or her mom comes on the show and she's like mad at her, and then she looks at her and she like sees how her daughter's happy and that everything that she didn't like that her daughter likes doesn't matter at that moment. And she goes, "I'm a pretty girl, mama," and her mom finally understands her and accepts her for what she likes. So.
Throughout the show, I realized that Seaweed has a lot of nerve, really. There's one scene where in Dodgeball, and I'm like meeting Link for, I think it's for the first time actually like, in the show, but Link says like, "How you doing?" And then like Seaweed has to get in this like really like "How you doing?" I just think it's such a funny thing because you realize like how much nerve Seaweed has because like he's like super, he's not into himself, but he's like very confident in who he is. So he's like, I mean, I just think it's like a funny exchange, and it kind of just shows like actually both of our characters, like he's like trying to kind of fit in, and I'm trying to kind of like, don't fit in, bro, you know?
Don't fit in.
Actually, I have so many favorite lines. Motormouth rhymes a lot. So she's like there's a scene where after Tracy broke out of jail with Link and we came back, we had another plan. Motormouth had another plan. And everybody was kind of doubting it because they didn't want to get in trouble again. And Motormouth says, "We can't get lazy when things get crazy. You guys think that you were the first to try, you won't be the last to try." She's just really motivational, and through all the rhymes, she's just really there for everybody.
That's awesome.